Top of the morning, this is your girl TTFromTheD stopping by to kick off our 30-day marriage challenge. Today is the first day. Today is Tuesday, November 1st, and our topic for today for marriages is marriage is sacred. If you want to increase your chances of being happy and wealthy and blessed, some might say you should just go ahead and get married. You've heard the old sayings where we're not supposed to shack, right? That means a man and a woman living together, yet doing all the things that married couples do without being married. And then you wonder, or we may wonder as human beings, why our unions are not as blessed as they possibly could be. Marriage is the formal union of a man and a woman for life. And it's far more than a social contract. The results of society pressure to conform. People might say, oh, it's just a piece of paper and you letting the law get involved. But God made laws. Jesus was fully aware of laws when he roamed the earth many seasons ago. And one of the most beautiful covenants I believe man and woman can share in this lifetime is marriage. Marriage exists in every culture, in every era, and in every religion. Some may hold it in a higher regards than others. However, it exists in every culture, in every area, in every place on earth. From the beginning of time, it's always been present. We're not meant to just be single or cohabitate with people. You might have heard of things such as soul ties and all those type of things. And if you think about it, a lot of the things we deal with, dysfunctionalism in relationships and children with one home parents and things of that nature, a lot of it is a result of us fornicating and producing beautiful people, children, but yet they're not being born into a covenant and not being raised by mom and dad as husband and wife, as it should be. Now, here's a list of measurable benefits to those who are married compared to those who cohabitate or divorced. Now, this tidbit was provided by a few social workers and counselors throughout the United States. The surveys that they took and the polls that they put out into the atmosphere allowed them to gather data. And the data said that children who are raised in a household with parents that are married seem to experience less domestic violence, longer lifespans, physical healthiness, increase earning capacities, improve wealth accumulation, decrease likelihood of relationship cheating, mentally healthier, happier, stronger parent-child-like bonds, and a more fulfilling intimacy life as they get older when they have something to mimic. Now that you could say, no, this happens in a household that's raised by single parents. And I would have to agree with you. Now again, that wasn't my thought. That was a bunch of therapists and counselors and social workers doing data, collecting survey research polls put out into the atmosphere. But I think that this also says this is what the children will experience from that encounter of being raised in a house filled with love between a man and a woman who are married. We would like to say, and this is my hypothesis, that many households that have mom and dad that are married, that are raising their children, produce love. They show affection. You might see mom and dad hug and kiss and snuggle and sit next to each other and all those things. They show that, they display that, and that's healthy. It's not only healthy for their child or children to see, but it's healthy for other couples to see. children that are raised in love and they see it as a model in their home through a husband and wife relationship, they tend to want to go off and have what they normally see. Now, let's be clear, something that I learned growing up, because there were only a handful of marriages that I grew up really feeling like I wouldn't mind having a marriage like that. One of those was my godmother's mother and father, the Stanleys. They modeled husband and wife relationship, love, bond that they displayed that made me as a child say, wow, I would love to have a marriage like that. And it was authentic. It was real. That's one that I really, really admired. I said I had a handful, but off the top of my head, that was one I really, really admired. Then there was another couple, the Herds. I had a babysitter when I was little, before my sisters and my brother was born, and her name was Cynthia. She was the only child, and her mother and father were Mr. and Mrs. Hurd, retired and living in a modest home in a nice community. But I enjoyed watching them as husband and wife, right? And their daughter, of course, was amazing. So that just lets you know that that could be having some weight to stand on with those surveys. Marriage is not only the union of a man and woman for life, it's also to show as we go on for generations and generations. It teaches us that monogamous marriages is quite different. Okay? It's different than the polygamy, multiple wives. I don't see that being something that I would say, yeah, why don't you go and have more than one wife? Like, why? But in some cultures, remember, we say marriages exist in all different cultures, right? In some cultures, it is legal to have more than one wife. I don't recommend it. And in American modern day marriage, it's just between one man, one woman. Marriage is therefore the commitment in a unique way. It's not like other commitments, right? It enables certain benefits to be enjoyed that other forms of relationships can't enjoy. And this includes extreme, hopefully, sexual fulfillment, deep psychological, emotional, spiritual connection between a husband and wife. And then there's other statutes and statuses such as cohabitating or casual sexual activities are unable to facilitate when you're outside of a covenant. But marriage is not just the formal union of a man and a woman for life as we know it. It's actually the highest commitment that two people could ever have in this lifetime under a union taken before God. Right? We have witnesses, we celebrate, but it's a sacred union between two people who have committed to one another. They say that 3 strands are not easily broken. We'll talk about that too within this 30-day marriage challenge. It's not just going to be a 30-day scripture challenge, but a 30-day marriage challenge. One that I can only hope that you will take the time with your spouse to do at your own leisure within these 30 days, starting today, Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. I love love, and I love couples. I see some couples that are married, and I have to be honest, some are married for some crazy reasons, in my opinion. It wasn't one of those, oh, we just got married because we've been together for a long time and we love one another and this is my partner and I can't seem to just even imagine doing this thing without them and I enjoy them as my friend. And you have some that'll say, hey, well, she got pregnant or, it's just, or, hey, we've been together, why not? It's like, what? And I was having a conversation with my sister friend Charity as we were going to Princeton to see our nephew play this past weekend, and we were talking about, it was a song, and we broke down the lyrics, and it's kind of like a, why not get married? Let's get married. It's like, why not? It's like, what? We've been together, so why not get married? It was just like, if that's your attitude and your take on it, I'm good. I'd pass on that. I remember being a little girl playing house, as many little girls probably do. And I never played house and I was a baby mama. I never played house and I was a single mama. I didn't play house and I was a widow. I played house and I had a husband who helped raise the children, who loved me and I loved him. We had fun, we traveled, we vacationed. I did all these things as a child. I pretended as a child. I had a blueprint, some would say. And I knew that I wanted to be happy. I grew up in a home raised by a single mother. And for a little minute, my father lived with us. Then the next, he wasn't there. So then my mother was a single mom. Then I had a stepfather. And it was not a healthy relationship of two people cohabitating. When it was good, it was good. When it was bad, it was terrible. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of social, emotional, mental abuse going on in my household. So I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't grow up in that household with two loving parents that displayed affection and joy and, this made me think like, this is what I want when I get grown. I was shown what I didn't want. Between two people, I couldn't understand why they decided to coexist when they couldn't get along most of the time. 20% out of 80% is not a good ratio. And then you have those that get married because it's easier, or they'll say it's cheaper to keep her. I'd rather be divorced. I'd rather be single than live with somebody who's with me because they feel that it's cheaper to keep her. I have 2 children. One is 20, one is 12. And my 12-year-old is who I would share with my husband. And if my husband decided he'd rather not be married, but we could cohabitate, or he'd rather not be married and we could co-parent, I'd take the latter. I'd rather be divorced, co-parent with my husband, which would be my ex-husband, and continue to raise our son with love and compassion and empathy and morals and values versus live in a house and cohabitate with my husband and he's unhappy or I'm unhappy or we're unhappy just to stay married. I don't think so. Although I love and I love being married, I would not want to be married and unhappy. That is not my choice. That is not what I would choose at this age I am. And I'm 47 years old, ladies and gentlemen. So is my husband at this time. But we've come to an agreement that if we are not happy, if we went through counseling, whether that's through our church, through social counseling with counselors and therapists, and it just can't work, and we tried to put it all in, and we gave it our best, then we've agreed before we even got married that we would separate. I'm not one of them people that's just gonna stay married for the look. I believe that we have a sacred marriage. There's only him and I in this union, and God in the center. The moment my husband decides that he wants to bring another woman into this union, and I'm not talking about a threesome, but into his part of his life in a secret place, or I decided I wanted to bring a man into this union in a secret place, then that marriage is null and void. It's over. There is no, let's go to counseling. That's my take on it. Now, some people say, well, we could work it out. No, we can't. I don't want to. I wouldn't. Because you made a decision to go outside. And you didn't talk about that. You didn't say that, hon, I'm starting to feel like I desire to be with someone else. And I don't want to feel that way. But that's a strong conversation. And some people would say, ain't no man gonna have a conversation with his wife. Ain't no woman gonna have a conversation with her husband. Probably not. And that's why people have affairs. But I just can't work through that because it's a conscious decision. It's a conscious decision. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. You had to get to know him. You had to get to know her. You had to get to know them for those that want to have more than one affair. Now, some people say, well, it was an indiscretion and we worked it out. But did you really? Because I know being in a relationship prior to being married, it was difficult to work that thing out. It was difficult. Who am I to lie? Who am I to tell you something that I don't accept on my own? You will never hear that come from me. I can't get through that as a married woman. I would not be able to get through that. Let me be clear. I won't. I don't even want to attempt. I don't want to pretend. And I wouldn't put my husband through that. And because I have my own respect level, morals, and values that was deposited within me by a single mother growing up, and I had a blueprint of what I would like to have growing up and what I don't want, I just won't do that. I respect myself more than that as a woman. I respect my husband, but as a woman, there won't be no one in this world that could say, I slept with her, she's married, but I slept with her. Hell to the no. Now, some of y'all gonna say, oh my God, did she discuss? Yes, I did. Because I'm being transparent and I'm being honest. And if we're gonna do this 30-day challenge, marriage challenge, let's be honest about what we're talking about. You may see sacredness as something different. You may see it totally different from what I shared with you. And that's totally okay. That's totally okay. There's a lot of scriptures, right? There's many scriptures. In Exodus 20:14, it says, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate. Put that as an anchor in your marriage. Don't let your body tell you, oh yeah, she's sexy. Because you got some loose booties out here that'll throw it to you, married or not. And you got some gentlemen that are some guys, some thugs, some dudes that'll throw it to you ladies, married or not. But at the end of the day, what do you gain besides temptation? If you're lacking conversation and feeling that you're wanted and needed and respected in your marriage, then I say you talk to your husband, you talk to your wife, and you work on that. Some of us might struggle with intimacy issues that has nothing really to do with your spouse, but from what you grew up lacking from previous relationships prior to your marriage, or what you didn't see. That's why it's important as husband and wives, if you have a child or children, to display affection and intimacy so your children can know that it's healthy and there's nothing wrong with that. So they know that, my parents would walk through and I would catch mom and dad every now and then snuggling or hugging each other and sharing a kiss, and nothing that's X-rated or pornographic, of course, but just like, and make them smile, like they showed love, they showed compassion, they showed empathy. Isn't that what we want to mimic and model for our child or our children, or even people, our peers, other married couples? You can learn a lot from married couples, and some things are good to take and say, let's add that as a special ingredient, and some things you'll say, no, we pass, we're full, we don't have any room on our plate for that. But as we go through this 30-day marriage challenge, you'll get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I hope that you will enjoy every bit that you get. Until tomorrow morning, let this be an anchor that you take as we enter the 30-day marriage challenge. Have a